All right, guys, today we're going to talk about expected value, EV, and exactly what it is, how you calculate it, why it is so important to sports bettors, and really anyone partaking in any risk-taking endeavor. But before we get into that, I urge you all to subscribe to this channel as well as downloading the Sharp app in the App Store. This channel, along with the app, is geared towards helping you become more profitable and become sharper. Learn from those who have been in the industry and have been betting on sports for a long period of time and have made a living doing it. Okay, expected value. Now, what is the expected value? You may hear this term tossed about a lot in gambling circles. If you play poker, you'll hear about expected value. All expected value is taking all the possible outcomes and whatever the probability of those outcomes occurring, and then multiplying that by how much you would either win or lose for each one of those scenarios coming out, or each one of those outcomes coming out. So in the simplest way to go about this and to think about it is, if we had a coin, a heads and a tails, a two-sided coin, we know that's a 50-50 proposition. If we were to flip that coin, what would be fair, every time I flip the heads, I should get paid the same amount I'm going to pay you every time I flip a tails. That would be a fair bet. So if we were playing $100 a flip, I should have to pay you $100 every time I flip heads, and you would have to pay me $100 every time I flip tails. If we did expected value on that, we would expect that to be zero, meaning there's no advantage to either player. The quick way to do that calculation is, it's a 50% probability of heads. I'm going to make $100 50% of the time. We multiply that 100 by 50, that gives us $50. There's a 50% probability there's going to be a tails. So 50% of the time, I'm going to lose $100, or minus 100 times 50% is minus 50. If we add the 50 and the minus 150, of course we come to zero. So I can really play this game for any amount of money, and as long as I had enough money to sustain any bad run that I went on, I should expect that over the long haul, I will neither gain nor lose any money playing this game. Now, how do we use that in sports betting? Well, when you are building models, and even if you're not building a model, let's say you take the very basics. So if we look at a baseball game, and let's say before you look at the lines, you should be doing this if you don't have a model. You should be putting down exactly what you think the probability is of each one of those teams winning. Write down the probability of each game. You can then convert that into odds if you like. And if you look at my moneyline video, you'll be able to see how easy that calculation is to convert that to odds. Once you do that, you can then compare what your odds are compared to the market. And what you really want to do is now find the EV, be it plus or minus, on each one of those games. So let's look at a game in Major League Baseball today and see if we have a plus EV or a minus EV based on our hypothetical model that we're talking about. I'm going to bring up the Mets against the Cubs today, and the game is showing Mets minus 115 on the money line. That far right column is minus 115. This is from DraftKings. The Cubs are plus 100. So what is that minus 115 saying? The minus 115, we can do the calculation, is 115 divided by 215. It's 53.4%. The market is saying, or at least DraftKings is putting a probability of 53.4% on the Mets winning this game. The Cubs are at plus 100. That is even money. That's the same as the scenario of us flipping a coin. So at plus 100, they're figuring there's a 50-50 chance the Cubs win this game. Again, you'll notice 53.4% chance the Mets win, 50% chance the Cubs win. That gives us more than 100% chance, and there's no way we can get more than 100% chance. There's only 100% chance that one of these teams can win. Now, that 3.4% difference is what is called the juice, and that's how the sports books make their money. I've gone into this on other videos. I won't get into too much detail now. So we figure that the actual probability here is somewhere in between. It's about probably 51.7% probability that the Mets win this game. So they're a small favorite in this game. Now let's go under the assumption that you have a betting model and you have the Mets at a 60% chance to win this game. Now, firstly, at 60% chance, you would have this line then as the Mets should be minus 150 and the Cubs 150. To you and your model, that would be a fair line. So just staring at it that way without doing expected value calculations, you would know that the Mets seem to be a good value in this game because you would be willing to pay 150 at a fair price and they're letting you pay minus 115. But now let's do the expected value calculation. So we know that at minus 150, there's a 60% chance that the Mets win this game. Let's say you are a $100 bettor. We're going to do this based on $100. If the Mets win 60% of the time, because you believe your model to be correct, 60% of the time you win $100. That is what? 60% times 100 or $60. Now, 40% of the time you're going to lose this bet according to your model. Well, how much do you lose? Well, if I'm betting 115 to win 100, that means I lose 115 40% of the time. That comes out to $46. Now, if I add the $60 I'm going to win 60% of the time to the $46 I'm going to lose 40% of the time, that gives me a differential of $14. That's my EV plus 14. So if I bet this game over and over and over again, I can expect to average about $14 for each time I make this bet. Now you say, I'm never going to actually make $14 each time I bet this game. That's correct. You're either going to make 100 or lose 115. But if we play this out over time, it's going to average out to about $14. So if you did this 1,000 times, it would get really close to that $14 per game number. Of course, in one game, you can't win 14 or lose 14. This is just an average. That's what your expected value is telling you. So you can be in a situation with a great expected value and lose. It's a one-game deal. So that's why we play small advantages over time, and that's how we make money. That's really how casinos make money. A casino has an expected value on whatever table game they may be offering, a blackjack game or a craps game, and depending on the skill level of the players playing, they have an expected value that they're going to make. Now, you can always walk into a casino and win money. I'm sure you've gone and played blackjack and won, or you've played craps and won, but I'm sure you've also done that and lost. Now, over time, there is no way for you to beat blackjack or craps or roulette. You just can't do it over time because the advantage that the house has is unbeatable, barring counting cards or anything of that sort. But the casino has an advantage, and the probabilities are really easy to figure out. If you're dealing with dice or cards, those probabilities are baked in. We know how many cards are in a deck. We know what cards are left. We know how many sides of a die and sides of two die and what all those combinations can be. We know the probability of rolling a certain number or a number on a roulette wheel coming out. Those are easy calculations. In sports betting, it's not so easy. My model may have the Mets at 60%. Your model has the Mets at 58%. Another model has the Cubs to win this game 55% of the time. What we're doing is we're all competing against the market to try to gain an edge. We'll get into building models and all of that sort of stuff in other videos. What I want to really stress to you here is what expected value is and how you just need a small edge in sports betting, and then you need to churn that edge over and over and over again. Now, when I'm betting, I'm usually looking for at least a 5% edge in expected value. So in a game like this, if I did have a 60% play on the Mets based on my model, I'd be looking at over a 12% expected value, which would be really good and something I'd want to act on, and that is a play I'm going to want to make. So that's really the basics on expected value, why you need to know it. And again, we'll build upon that as we go along here on this channel. But I want you to understand, when you hear anyone talking about EV or expected value, this is what they're talking about. You always want to get yourself, certainly as a sports bettor, a poker player, anyone like that, you want to put yourself in situations as often as possible where your expected value is positive. If we continue to do that, we're going to make money over time. So I look forward to bringing you guys some more content on this channel. Again, please subscribe below, download the Sharp app, and I will see you guys really soon. Let's make some more money together.